Good evening. Welcome to the August 2nd, 2018 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Excuse me. Aye. Sorry.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Just a couple of things before we get started. I just want to ask you folks in the audience a couple of favors. The first thing is if you can, if you have your cell phones on you, if you can silence them or turn them off because they interfere with our recording equipment. And in addition, I know we have a small group so far tonight. I expect there'll be a few more people who will be arriving shortly. But if you are here tonight and you are inclined to speak to one another in the audience, if you can do us a favor and go out in the hallway to speak rather than speak while you're in the auditorium, because that also interferes with our recording equipment. And with that, we'll get started with the agenda.
Okay, in the agenda, there are some changes to the agenda. First item is item 4, which is Joseph P. Lebenaiti. I'm going to move that we re-advertise that for 9/6.
Second.
Okay, we actually don't have to vote on a re-ad, so
Yeah.
re-advertised.
I'll pick that up one of these years.
Very nice.
Okay.
All in favor? All right. All right, item 7 on the agenda. Permanent and Progentem et al. I'll move that we adjourn that application to 9/6/18.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye.
Okay, Dorn Zwickel has been withdrawn. Richard Martino, Randall App, and Sagliaro Rental Properties, Inc. I will move that those decisions be held over to our August 16th meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And what are we doing with unlimited earth care?
8/16.
I'll move that unlimited earth care be put off till 8/16 also.
Okay, do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
All right, with that being taken care of, we'll move to the beginning of the agenda. Item 1 on the agenda, and the new applications is Eric Gorowski, 21 Munchog Drive in Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-4-3-46.1. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-84D. Pyramid height for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 7,515.72 cubic feet for a proposed two-story dwelling and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Brian DeSessa, I'm recusing myself from this application.
Okay. Good evening. I just have to swear you in unless you're an attorney.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I have to swear you in unless you're an attorney.
Let's do it.
Okay, very good. So if you can state your name and address.
So my name is Luke Farron. Address is 26025 Main Road, Cutchogue, New York.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
That's the
Okay.
really
So Luke, if you can tell us about your application.
Okay, we'll do. First, I'm going to hand down 3 rendering.
Goes to
That
our
goes to
attorney.
our attorney.
Okay, so my name is Luke Farron. I'm the project architect for Kevin O'Sullivan and Associates. I'll be speaking on behalf of the Gorowskis today. Subject property right now has a pre-existing non-conforming cottage with a pitched roof on it. We're proposing to demolish that house and in its place put a contemporary flat roof home. It's a difficult lot to build on, given the two-street front yard setback and the waterfront setback. We've been through conservation. We received what we perceive as a favorable determination from Marty Shea and the Conservation Board. We're trying to put the new house within the existing footprint of the existing non-conforming house. In fact, there's a garage there on the south side of the property that will be removed, and our new South Street front is actually further set back. But we're running into some pyramid issues.
I'm sorry, could you, I was just handing that to him. Could you say what you just said, your last statement?
Yeah, sure. So I was talking about the existing garage on the property now. Pre-existing non-conforming. It's very close to the street, the south side of Munchog. That will be removed and will not be replaced in that location. So from what you experience on the street side, the south side of Munchog, the new construction will be further away from the street than it is now, which we think is beneficial to the views of the neighbors across the street. It's a sloping lot. We've got the high point at the southeast corner. It slopes pretty evenly towards the northwest corner. Now, the majority of the relief that we're requesting is along the east property line. It's currently heavily vegetated now, but there is a neighbor on that side. In terms of overall height of the new construction versus the old construction, we're at the same height. The ridge on the existing structure is the same height as our proposed overall height for our new project. So in terms of views, there's not actually any difference in the views that the neighbors will experience. I guess I can go through the 5 points that you guys list as requirements for granting
The area variance standard.
the area variance, yeah. So in terms of an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood, we don't think so. I think this is an improvement. It's a nice new house. Some of the neighbors have expressed happiness about a perceived property value increase. But in terms of aesthetics, we feel it's in keeping with a neighborhood that has a lot of different architectural styles. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. So given the waterfront setback and the 2 Munchog Drive setbacks, it's almost an unbuildable lot. We're getting setback relief from the Conservation Board and their wetlands permit they've issued us. So we feel that pushing the house up into the southeast corner is the best response to the setbacks that we're working
Well, pretty much the Conservation Board has told you where you can locate the house. So,
Essentially.
Because of the limitations on the property.
Right.
So, and the only relief that's being requested is pyramid relief. However, the amount of pyramid relief is 7515.72, unless it's changed. That's what I have. Is that correct number?
Yeah, and that's the correct number in terms of cubic feet of volume.
Yeah.
Right?
So typically what we would see in an application for pyramid, sometimes we see them for 2,500 or less. Sometimes we see them for more than 2,500. But the ones that are more than 5,000 are the ones that we're sometimes concerned about because
Sure.
of it having a negative impact on the neighbors. I don't know whether you've heard from the neighbors to the east or to the west, but in any case, it's a decent amount of pyramid relief. That having been said, we understand that you're limited by the Conservation Board as to where you can build. And the only alternative, I think, to requesting pyramid relief is to reduce the size of the house or change the design of the house to reduce the amount of pyramid relief. So it is, just so my colleagues know, this is a proposed 2-story, 6-bedroom house on a lot of less than a half an acre. So it's a pretty large house.
It's a large house. I can address that concern for you. So, yeah, 7,500 cubic feet of volume, but it actually only represents 237 square feet of floor space, which is just under 4% of the total square footage of the home. In terms of views to the neighbor, we've taken care to not place windows on that side of the house, so privacy concerns shouldn't be an issue. Plus, that property line is heavily vegetated, and in fact, that neighbor to the east will gain more waterfront views given our east-west orientation of the house, whereas right now the orientation is north-south along that east property line. And we did speak to her. Initially, she, had some questions. We walked through the project with her, my boss Kevin, and Alyssa and Eric, and she decided not to come tonight to express any concerns. So I think we have the blessing of the neighbor who could potentially be most affected by this.
Okay, well, that is helpful information to have, but,
Now all you need is
Yep.
the blessing of 4 members of this board.
That's right, that's right. So the amount of pyramid relief is a large amount of pyramid relief.
Okay.
And it is a big house for
Now,
a lot
normally,
of the
I gotta
size that
ask-
it is.
Gotta ask you, normally when they come and request that kind of relief, it's a narrow lot. It's like a 100-foot lot.
Yeah, the microphone. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a narrow lot, we'll see it's 40 by 100 or 60 by 100. This is 100 by whatever, I'm trying to say that the width is there.
I too agree that it's a lot.
How many square foot house is this gonna be when you're done?
5,000.
5,000.
Well, I can actually, let me take another tact with you. Like I was mentioning, the highest point on the property is the southeast property. And it's the eastern property line that is where we're asking for relief. But the way the chief building inspector interprets the average grade of the property, he had us take it from the west property line, which is the lowest property line, because that's the property line that the house is closest to. So we're kind of getting a false reading of how much relief we're asking for. It would be less than half if we were taking our average grade from the eastern property line that is most affected.
Okay, but-
because the
but-
grade is so much higher.
Okay, but the building department generally has a single standard as to how these numbers are calculated.
Right.
And so when we see numbers for pyramid relief, they're based on the same way of calculating them.
Understood.
And this is a big number. It's a big number. So that's what we're concerned about. I think, at least I'm not just speaking for myself, we're concerned about the amount of pyramid relief and whether there's anything that can be done to reduce it.
Well, so along that eastern property line, we do have an outdoor chimney that's sort of high. You can see that on the elevation drawings. We can drop that way down to maybe 9 feet, open up more views for the eastern neighbor. Again, all the ridges that exist right now are at the same height. So one way or another, the views from across the street don't really change.
But you're not talking about how you're going to reduce the 7,000 feet.
Well, 7,500 square feet of volume, 230 square feet of floor area.
We're not talking about the floor area. We're talking
Right.
about the encroachment. So I haven't heard from you suggestions as how you're going to reduce that number.
But besides the chimney would reduce it
Yeah.
a little bit.
A little.
Yeah.
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 I don't think the chimney even factors in.
That doesn't
the
affect it
I
at
mean, I
all?
don't know.
Really?
I don't
Okay.
think the chimney is counted, is it?
Okay.
Here's what I recommend. I recommend that maybe we leave this open for all purposes, put it off for a couple weeks, maybe you go home, maybe you can sharpen your pencil or something, see if you can figure out a way to reduce the 7,500 cubic feet of relief that you're requesting.
Let me ask you this.
You don't
Doug?
seem, you don't seem to want to hear us at all, you know what I mean? I'm trying to
I'm-
provide some guidance to you.
Please do.
Well, you just heard it.
So, and I can't, and probably we should give you some more guidance as to where we would like you to go.
Sure.
And just speaking for myself, I would like to see it reduced to 5,000. I would like to see if that's something we need, cubic.
Easy number to remember, 5,000 square foot house, 5,000 cubic feet.
Got it.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
if you can find a way to get that to work, and I know it may involve, taking a look at the design of the proposed house.
Yeah, I mean, that area, that
Yeah.
strip right there is above a staircase. We could look at it.
Okay.
That's a good thing.
I'm gonna try
If you
one
want a
more.
variance, you
I'm gonna
better
try one
look.
more thing.
If you want a variance, you better look at it. We're easy to get along with.
Just to go back to where I started, I mean, the house is up in this corner. because of the conservation
No,
department.
And we fully appreciate that.
Yeah.
And honestly, we could say that we'd want it to be 2,000 or 3,000.
Right.
I'm suggesting 5,000 because of the limitations on this property.
Sure.
Okay, but taking that all into
And
account.
take it from me, that's very generous on Mr.
Okay.
I think 5,000 is quite high, too.
But he'll find some.
Okay, we're happy to look at it.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
When would you like to come back?
When would we like to come back?
Yeah.
2
How much
weeks?
time you need?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is, I believe, the 16th,
It is.
and we have 11 on, but one, okay, counted that Vanderbilt as one. Okay, so we can put it over for, but before we do that, yes, any other questions of members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Growski? If not, Cornelius.
Move to leave the public hearing open for all purposes to August 16th.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
You're welcome. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Hahn? Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill?
All right.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and Mr. DeSessa had recused himself, so he abstains. Thank you, have a good night.
Thanks.
And also, just before, let's just tell them that, the building inspector's worried about the shed.
Shed,
Yeah.
right.
Sir?
So the shed,
He's done.
hey,
Next time.
call him up
He'll
on the
call
phone,
tomorrow.
tell him, move the shed to a conforming location and get rid of it.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Thank you.
Good, very good. Item 2 on the agenda. Nancy Y. Bluestein and Maria A. Lavino, 136 Upper 7 Pounds Road, in Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-113-3-11. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-115D5. Continuance for an accessory side yard setback of 9.2 feet, where 10 feet is permitted, to legalize the location of a detached garage on a non-conforming lot and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Good evening. Just have to swear you in, Suzanne. You can state your name and address, please.
1319 North Street, Southampton.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, so if you could tell us about your application tonight.
Okay, this is a variance request for an existing masonry garage, which was constructed in approximately 1972. I have some photographs of the garage. It's 9.2 from the side property line, where 10 feet would be required. So we're looking for relief of 0.8 feet.
Yes,
And
and
you
it's
say
only
it's-
ended up before, with a public hearing because it's an as-built.
Right.
It is, otherwise would be a minor.
Which may or may not have had a building permit. The town could not locate it, the homeowners couldn't locate it. The situation is that the woman who's lived there for 50 years needs to move into an assisted living home, and in order to pay for that, her daughters, who are in care of the trust, need to sell the property. So we need to get a CO for the house and for the garage.
Did I hear you say the garage has been there since 1972?
That's correct.
I have no further questions myself, nor do I have a problem with it. It's been there since 72.
Well, apparently, according to the application, it was built by the father of the current owner, or one of the current, father of one of the
The
current.
two sisters are in charge of it now. Their father built it in about the 70s. One of the daughters, who's now an older adult, remembers when she was a teenager in the 70s building it, because she was helping her father build it, and she was embarrassed that someone might drive by and see her. So she was a teenager. I also have a copy of the increased tax assessment dated June 1971, which states house, garage, and land. And so it's a tax bill for the record. I also have a letter of non-objection from the neighbor, who's also lived there for 50 years. I think I gave you a copy of this for a while already. So I'm hoping this is a no-brainer,
Yes, with the garage.
It has.
not hurting anybody, there's a lot of screening.
Okay.
It's
Well,
7 feet tall.
And the fact that it is 10 feet to 9.2 feet, I would normally be asking for an estimate. I don't even think we need that. Because this is just minimal.
Okay.
However, it would be nice if people don't build things with permits. So we would prefer that people get permits for building things, you know.
You know how
I just wanted to pass it along.
people back in the day kept a lot of paper records? He doesn't have a copy of the building permit, but in his ledger, the previous owner is now deceased, has building permit $10
Yeah.
written down.
Right.
But
But even
but
if you
that's
got.
not a permit.
I understand it, but even if he got a building permit, which would be a good thing, he ultimately didn't get a CO for the structure, so.
Right.
And I'm sure the building permit, if the one that issued.
Would have expired.
I don't know, about 40 years or 30-something years ago, I don't know,
Right.
something in that range.
The bill,
Did you want to address the?
No comment?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so here's what we got from
Height of the ridge.
the building department.
yeah. Candace was kind enough to tell me about this.
Okay.
I spoke with Ed Batchelor, who drew the drawings.
Yep.
The written height, the 7'4", or, yeah, 13.7 is correct. When he printed the document, the scale somehow got messed up.
Okay.
So
Well,
these
just want to
are-
make sure that Dennis is okay with what you've submitted. so.
Right. These are the correct scale,
I-
if you want to scale a copy.
I understand, but as long as Dennis is happy, we're happy.
We have a building permit pending. I'll make sure he gets the corrected architectural plans.
Okay.
Anybody in the audience?
I'm not sure, let's see. Anyone, other questions from members of the board? Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Bluestein and Levino? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. If not, Jason?
Jason, it's all yours.
I would like to close the public hearing for, how many do we have next meeting, Kansas? 12 now?
Well, this- Yeah, decisions, we don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'd like to close the public hearing for all purposes and have a decision for 8:16.
8:16.
Okay.
I'll
All right,
second that
thank you so
motion.
much.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill? Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you, have a good night. Yep.
Item 3 on the agenda is Eileen and Baron Carlson, 6 Spring Lane in Tuckahoe, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-158-3-53.31. Applicant requests relief from Title Code 330-77D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in residence districts to allow rear yard coverage of 23.5%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted, to legalize a basketball court constructed without the benefit of a building permit and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
This is where it slows down. Get him, Adam.
Just have to swear you in, unless you're an attorney. So if you can just raise your right hand, you can state your name and address, please.
Jake, last name is Vanderwatt, 76 Valerie Road, Southampton, New York, 11968.
Okay, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
I
truth? Okay, so if you can tell us about your application.
What happened here, the house was bought and there was a basketball court built already. And
It was already there upon purchase.
yes, correct.
Thank you.
And
Did they have an attorney when they purchased the property?
they probably did.
Okay, just figured I'd ask.
Yeah, I don't know how this
But
happened.
I have to say, though, with basketball courts, something like that, I can understand that people might not always
Just-
realize.
Yeah.
Just close it. We'll get everything later.
Yeah.
So it was built in the southwest corner in the rear yard. And
Thank you.
the maximum allowed coverage, which is 20%, it is 23.5%.
Yes. So it's lot coverage relief,
Yeah.
but no setback relief, so it's conforming as to setbacks, it's just the size of it. And if you take a look at the survey,
It's a weird lot, so
It's
to
a
figure
weird-
out rear yard is.
yeah, and
Really?
so, the other thing I noticed in the application, it's a standard-sized basketball court. I didn't know there were standard-sized basketball courts.
It's full court?
I understand, so yeah.
No,
It's like a
it's
half
not.
court. It's a full half court.
Full half court, oh, okay.
It's definitely not.
Standard size half court.
Can I ask you something, sir?
Well, what is the dimensions of basketball? I don't see it on the survey.
Could we go
So I'm
play
somewhat
basketball?
confused about the size of the court.
Me
Oh,
too.
then we
It
might
is
want to find out.
60 by 50.
It's 60 by 50?
Yeah, because a full-size court is 120 by 50.
And generally,
20 by 100.
right, right.
That's correct.
But generally, when we grant, when we grant relief for tennis courts, we don't necessarily have it be the size that would normally be the size of a tennis court. However, in this situation, we have an as-built. So I think that's a consideration.
And he's gonna have them cut the corners.
Well, have you heard from any of the neighbors?
No, we have not. It seems like everybody has no objection.
Yeah. So the thing about
How
this,
big it is.
from my point of view, 20% to 23.5%,
Minimal.
well below what we often grant for tennis courts. So, well, if the circumstances were different and they were proposed versus an as-built, maybe we would want to have something done differently. I don't know that we would because the
I
percentage.
mean, it's so little, 3.5% is so
It's
little.
it's really, in terms of lot coverage, it's rear yard
You know,
lot
and it's
coverage.
a rear yard.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it's only slightly over what the code allows. So I can't imagine it having a negative impact on the neighborhood.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did you participate in the construction of anything in this house?
No.
No,
You landscaper?
it was built, yeah, Helen, it was built when the owner bought the house.
When I spoke to the owner, that's not what the owner told me.
Well, I drew the plans for this, just on
I
here.
just,
Well, let's
Well,
see.
I
what-
wasn't involved with the construction.
so you don't know for sure that
That-
that was there when the owner bought it?
She told me it was,
She, the
And-
wife told you that?
yeah.
Okay, and we have an application, and in the
Okay.
application, I know in my notes for the application, there was a reference as to when it was built,
I saw that too.
okay? And
15 or something.
And the application was signed by the applicant, correct? Was the application signed by the applicant?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it actually says, trying to find out where it says it.
Those are them right there.
See, Mr. Grossman?
Yep, I'm looking for where
It's
it
not that
is.
I'm saying I have an objection to
Yep.
the court. I just like the record to be straight as to what happened when it happened.
Yeah.
And so that's the only reason I even mention it.
Okay.
Not that, I looked at it and it's very small.
I mean, it's for the kids.
Yeah,
It's
he
the
told
kids
me
to
that
play
for his
around,
son,
so
for his
it's nothing
one son.
professional or anything.
Yeah. I heard everything.
I'm sure
So,
you did.
yes, I do.
I'm actually looking through the application and I'm not seeing when it was built. Thought I saw when it was built.
Very,
The house, I think, was built in 2015.
No, I mean, when the basketball court
Oh,
went
okay.
up. Yeah,
I'm not sure about that exactly.
yeah, it doesn't seem to indicate it. I thought it did, but it doesn't. But your understanding that the basketball court was there, at the
When
time,
they-
when they
at the time
when they
they
purchased the
purchased
property, is that what they told you?
Yes, correct.
All right. Okay. Considering the small amount of relief that we're talking
I have no
about,
problem.
we could, have the applicant come in and ask about that. Considering the small amount of relief involved, I'm not sure that
You're
is
gonna
something we need to
Give
do.
him relief from public flagging?
I guess,
flogging, or-
well, no, I want you to do it, Keith, come on, I'm waiting for you.
I'm not gonna flog him.
Okay,
Anybody
so,
in the audience?
yes, is there any other questions or members of the board?
No.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application of Carlson? Who is the owner? Vanderwatt is the applicant. Okay, if not, Helen, it's yours.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing today, and you'll have a decision in 2 weeks, which would be, is that okay, in 2 weeks? On the 16th.
I'll
Thank you so
I'll
much.
second that motion.
Okay, all right, thank you. Ms. Burgess,
Aye?
Mr. Tudhill,
Aye.
Mr. Hahn, Mr. Kelly,
Aye.
Mr. Daly,
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Item 5 on the agenda. Filomeno Feliciano, 6 Midgie Lane in Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-190-3-24. This is a holdover from our 7/5/18 meeting.
Hey, John, can you and Charlie go out in the hall?
Okay. Good evening, I'm doing okay. All right, so we put this over from our meeting on July 5th,
Yep,
and maybe you can update us as to where we are.
we got, you want lot coverage surveys, we got those,
Okay?
and pictures.
You can give those to our attorney.
It's just one set?
Yeah.
So I just want to take a look at what you submitted so we can see what it
What
is.
did you submit there, sir?
Lot coverage survey, the board wanted,
Right.
and also pictures of the screened-in porch. Screened-in,
That's correct, and there also
You pass
plans, you
those-
were
look at
supposed to
those and
finish
pass those
plans.
oh, yeah. That's
You got plans? And the applicant, I believe that gentleman back there was here at the last meeting. I believe he gave testimony to the fact that this is not habitable living space. Is that correct, sir?
Well, we can come, why don't you come up so we can
Yeah.
get you on the record? And I believe you both were previously sworn in. So,
Yes.
if you just state your name for the record, please.
It's Filomeno Feliciano.
Yes, okay.
In the honor of the
Okay.
6 Midgie Lane.
Okay. All right. So Keith, yeah, you wanted this?
Yeah,
gentleman
you just wanted, I believe I wrote down that they gave not testimony to the fact that it was a porch, they enclosed it, but there's no habitable living space in this enclosure.
Right.
Yes,
right.
enclosed.
Yes.
But the rubbish.
It's
There's
closed,
no
but it's-
habitable living
living
space,
space.
correct, sir? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, no habitable living space?
And
Okay.
that means it's not heated and it's not.
No, no,
Yes.
nothing.
Yes.
Right.
They also put on the survey that's a screened-in porch.
Yes, that was the other thing I
Yes.
remember us
Yeah,
asking.
that's why I made him put it on
Okay.
there.
I'm still waiting for it to come this way. It will shortly.
Look at
Oh,
it.
I gave that to Keith. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yep. Okay. So I just want to take a look.
Says enclosed porch. You gotta
Yep.
Take a look.
Now, I remember we looked at the survey and we were a little confused.
Yeah.
So I kind of figured it was there, but this makes it much more clear. So it's the,
Who has the pictures?
yeah, yeah.
Keith, Keith, can you pass the photos down?
Ah, this is not close.
There's only one set.
Okay. Okay.
I know that. If you give me a moment, I was making some noise on the mic.
Okay. Here's
And then
pictures.
I was going to get them 2 other pictures I have out and pass them along to my fellow colleagues. No problem.
Okay. We're very efficient, you know. Yeah. All right. And here's some more pictures in case people want to see them. So I think we wanted to see the porch, we wanted to see the plans, we wanted to have the survey revised. And the underlying relief here is principal minimum side yard setback 20 feet to 15 feet to legalize the conversion of a covered porch into living space without a building permit. So it's minimal relief.
Would you like to see the plans, too?
Absolutely, I would very much like to see the plans.
This says, new unheated storage.
Wow. Okay. So this is what was built. This was enclosed. I think we have everything covered now.
Good.
I do. But Keith, want to make sure that you're okay with what we have.
I seem to be okay.
That is good. Okay. Any other questions from members of the board?
Anybody in the audience?
Is there anyone, yes, is there anyone in the audience who would like to be heard this evening in connection with the application
Charles,
of
John, no?
Feliciano? Applicant is Puccio. Looks like they're,
Seeing here, no one, motion to close, determination 8:16.
Second.
okay. Mr. Tuthill.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you very
don't
much.
have to be here at the next meeting, you can just call Candace the next day.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Have a
very
good
much.
night. And thank you for the information, we greatly appreciate it.
Good night.
All right, item 6 on the agenda, which is Charles Styler, 215 Mary's Lane, North Sea, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-77-5-38. This is held over from 8/3/17, 4/5/18, 5/3/18, 6/7/18, and 7/19/18.
Thank you.
Thank you. Should I proceed?
Absolutely.
My name is John Bennett, and I'm proud to represent Charles Styler. He's a naval
Adam?
veteran, longtime resident of the town of Southampton. Thank you. Not a summer folk. Lives at 235 Mary's Lane, and owns this significantly oversized lot at 215 Mary's Lane. This is Mr. Styler's back porch. So this is the front house where he lives with his wife, who's here at 235. And then, well, the subject property at 215, we have numerous photographs of 215, including this where you can see, which is the basement accessory apartment, which we're attempting to legalize. I've also have for the board's consideration numerous photographs of the surrounding area so that you can see how well screened the property is from any surrounding properties.
You want to submit them into the
Sure.
record?
This matter was before the board previously, and there was only one person who spoke, Mr. Corwith, who is the neighbor, and he spoke quite vigorously in favor of the application. So what are we here for? The town code allows an accessory apartment on a lot where the owner lives, but there's certain dimensional restrictions, one of which is that there's a limitation on the percentage of that the apartment can be. Here we have the back residence, which is the subject property, the 215. First floor is 752 square feet. The accessory apartment is 562 square feet, so we need relief for that because it's approximately 74% of the size of the principal dwelling. But we've already put in the record numerous instances where the board has waived that requirement or given relief from the requirement. The big reason we're here, as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that the owner, Mr. Styler and Mr. and Mrs. Styler, live in the front, and their son and daughter live in the back. So technically, that they own both parcels, and so it is not 215 is not owner occupied, although access to 215 is via an easement over 235, and Mr. Styler and his wife are permanent residents here. This is their full-time and only house, and their offspring, son and daughter, desire to both of them live in the adjoining house. Now, let me read you some findings that I think are applicable here.
I believe you're probably reading findings from the 2 or 3 decisions. That
Yeah, but I want them in the record because, and I want everyone, every voting board member to hear this because I see absolutely no way that you could have, this board, and again, this board by its decisions sets in effect an administrative stare decisis, And you're bound by that. And if you want to change that.
Each application stands on its own.
No,
merits.
that's not true.
Yes, it is.
No, well, we can argue about that all
Okay,
night.
and we
but-
will.
Okay, but that's not what the second department says. Okay? Each application, that's something that people say when for some reason they're standing square, have authority standing them square in the face that they can't get around, but say each application stands on its own merit. Okay?
You have the case from the second department?
Absolutely.
You have a copy of that case?
Which case? I've cited it to this board on numerous occasions.
No, but you
Where
have
the
a copy of
application
that
is,
case.
is similar and a similarly situated property.
Mr. Bennett, I
It's
asked you
right
a
here.
question.
Matter of Hamptons LLC versus Rickenbach. It's out of East Hampton, 98 AD 2nd, 736, 950 New York subsegment 182, Second Department, 2012. That is the progeny of a case called Knight versus Amelkin. Okay?
You have a copy.
So what John is arguing is because we.
No, let me make my own argument.
No,
Please
no,
don't paraphrase my
No,
argument.
I'm.
Adam, I want you to let me put my case in, and I don't want you to interrupt me, because that's the way this should go.
I'm the chairman of this board.
That
You are
doesn't
being
mean-
disrespectful towards
I'm
me, and
not
I don't
being
appreciate
disrespectful
it.
to you.
I do not appreciate it at all.
I don't understand why you are going so out of your way to get away from two square on all fours provisions,
John, I've known you for a
decisions.
long time.
Yeah.
You're a very skilled attorney.
Right.
Okay?
But you can't interrupt me when I'm putting my case in.
When any member of this board
Right.
wants to bring something up, you should allow that to happen. But in any case, why don't you proceed?
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to read some language to you. The town code contains a provision requiring that homes with an accessory occupants, apartments be owner occupied. This is to provide close owner oversight of the apartments and to help prevent the kinds of issues that often arise with absentee landlord issues that cause a negative effect on surrounding properties. Okay? Then this authority that I'm reading from goes on. In the case of this applicant, she not only lives next door, but her sister lives on the other side of the subject premises. It's difficult to imagine that the two year-round family members would allow tenants of their houses, obviously tenants who are related, in between both of their residents to create the kind of noise and overcrowding that can negatively impact neighborhoods. What is the reason that the town board passed this law? Because the town, and by the way, what I'm reading from is right out of language, right out of decisions decided by this board. And that's the Gaffney case, which followed the Betts case. And in both of those cases, this board, because of the situation, because of the fact that there were town employees in one case, and because of the fact that there were related people in other cases, and they lived right next door, and there was the very, very, very ills which were thought to be created by not having owner occupants was not at all present, because the owner was, in this case, 70 feet from the subject property where you wanted to have the non-owner occupied two apartments. The board made a specific finding that the concerns that gave rise to the owner occupied requirement were not present. And in both instances, the board allowed this to happen. A covenant we've offered that said at any time that these two parcels become separated such that they're not controlled by the related entities, the relief would be extinguished. You have granted this in the past. You have no opposition to this case. The only thing that you have is support. You have the people that will be occupying these units are the very type of people that the town passed this law for. One of the functions of the accessory apartments adopted by the Southampton town was to address the lack of safe, adequate housing for lower and middle income households within the town. This board recognized that an insufficient inventory of affordable rental units leads to the erosion of community character and higher taxes by increasing municipal costs for code enforcement, police, fire, and ambulance protection. So I don't see how you run away from your very well-decided opinions in the past, where you had an owner who lived right next door to the other lot that they own. All these ills that the town board sought to mitigate against by saying that the property had to be owner occupied. They're not here because the owner lives 70 feet next door. And it's not like I'm trying to break new ground because you've done it in the past. So I think, given the situation, given the fact that this is well screened, given the fact that there's no neighborhood opposition, given the fact there's been numerous grants of various relief for accessory apartments in the neighborhood, which we've demonstrated in the past, I think you have to have some compelling public interest reason to deny this request. You can't just say, after you've created this body of law, in effect, we changed our mind. We don't want to do that anymore. Because you know something? Once you go down that path and you create your own body of law on this, if you want to change that, you've got to petition the town board. Because you know why? It just ain't fair. Because people make decisions based upon this board's practice and this board's own body of law. And it's just not fair. It's actually prejudicial. It's prejudiced to come in and say, we're going to grant it to you, we're going to grant it to you. We're going to grant it to you, Mr. Betts. We're going to grant it to you, Ms. Gaffney. But you know something? We're not going to give it to you. Charlie could subdivide this property. Charlie could go in and ask for a carriage house law to do the same thing. Why would you force him to do that? Particularly when you have precedent allowed.
He isn't forced to do that. He has another way of achieving the same goal.
So do these people. So do these people. So do these people. And yet never.
John.
So did these people. So did Gaffney. And so did Betts. And you never said that's not a reason why we shouldn't grant the relief.
And we've had other decisions since then, as you know.
Well, then you decided those, if they were on the same facts as Gaffney and Betts, then you decided them incorrectly.
And I'm glad, and when you're a member of this board, you can, I suppose, vote on them. But at this point, you just have to get.
Oh, well, I'd like to. No, you know something? You have to tell me. The burden is now shifting to you.
And you know, John, the way in which you're talking to me right now, I really take exception to.
What are you talking about? I'm just telling you what the law says.
You know
what?
You know what?
Now you have to shift the burden.
You know what, John?
You
should know better than to speak this way towards our board.
I'm not speaking this way. Excuse me. I'm speaking this way towards you, Adam. I'm not speaking this way toward the board.
I'm glad that's on the record.
Fine, because all I'm doing is being an assertive advocate for my client, and you're trying to back me off, and I'm not going to have any of it. Because you know something?
I'm not trying to back you off. I'm doing my job.
You're characterizing the manner that I'm speaking to you. Let the record stand for itself.
Let the record stand that when Ms. Burgess asked you a question, you ignored her. Let the record state you wouldn't answer her question.
I gave her the
then when I asked a question to you, you asked me to stop.
Ms. Burgess asked me
to be on the record.
It's on the. Why do you keep on saying that? It's in a damn tape out there.
That's right.
Ms. Burgess asked me for a copy of what the authority was, and I read it back to her. I told her what it was. It's the Rickenback case out of East Hampton. So now, what did you ask for, Helen?
I asked John if I could see a copy of the decision, not the citation.
Oh, they're in they're exhibits to the letter that I gave you. I'm sorry, Helen. I thought you wanted a copy of the court
As a lawyer,
case.
I wanted to read the complete decision.
As you should.
Thank
And that's why I put them as exhibits into the letter that I handed to you.
At this point, myself,
Right.
I'm just one guy here.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I hate when lawyers fight with each other and stuff. But anyhow, we have not rendered any decision. The vibes I got from Charlie at our last meeting was, let's get it on the table, and let's see if we can come up with a decision and move it along.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I thought Charlie was
That's
looking
right.
for.
That's right.
So if you're done with your presentation, then I think we should move it along, and let's get down to the decision-making part.
I couldn't agree with you more. The only thing that I want to add, I think that given the past conduct of this board, given the precedent that they've established, given all the factors here, it is incumbent upon this board to come forward. The burden has now shifted to this board to show there's some detrimental public interest that would require the denial of this application. You may disagree with that, Adam.
Well, no, all I'm going to say is that we will take the advice of our attorney.
Okay.
On that issue.
And you know something, Adam? I'm going to finish with this, though, and then I'll shut up, Keith. Spirited conversation, particularly between two skilled lawyers and advocates like ourselves, should not be deemed as disrespect. And I'm sort of surprised that you've characterized it that way. You and I have both had many spirited conversations.
We certainly have.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Mr. Bennett, I'm offended by your tone this evening.
In what
And I'm not
manner,
an
Mr.
attorney.
Daly?
I
In
think
what
you've
manner?
been overly aggressive, and
I have been-
understand you being an advocate, and I don't blame you. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, but I've been very, very
I,
frustrated.
as a new
It's
member of
also the
this
nature
board,
of the
am
work.
offended by your
Yeah.
tone this evening.
It's the nature of the work. You're representing your client, but there has to be back and forth.
I'll be very honest with you, Mr. Daly. I am particularly frustrated by this case, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm particularly frustrated by the case, and if I've offended you, I apologize. But I've been offended by this case because I have, when you come before this board, particularly when you show this board instances that are not at all meaningfully distinguishable, that have been granted in the past, and you have a clearly stellar citizen like this, just trying to provide housing for two of his offspring, the same sort of things that when I say you, your board, has recognized in the past, and for some reason which I cannot figure out, this board didn't simply months ago grant this application. I know when I have a bad application. I've been doing this for 36 years. This ain't one of them. So to the extent that I offended you by exhibiting my frustration in a way that you found offensive, I apologize, and I mean that. I'm just very frustrated with this case because I don't think there's a reason why you can legally deny it. I simply don't.
Let me just offer some comment. Not for nothing. It's time. It's showtime. We need to come down to the decision-making process.
Right.
Also, we have a couple of new colleagues on the board. And I vibe back here through all this, I got all these dates written down here, that maybe you wish them to be active participants, to hear the case.
Absolutely.
Before it came down to decision.
Absolutely.
I think everybody on this board has heard the case. I believe this board is ready to render a decision very shortly down the road. So if you're done presenting your
I'm done.
case,
Can I say something?
Sure.
by all means.
On the background on this, the original house that I still live in, and we've been living there for almost 50 years now, I built with my own two hands. I didn't build it by hiring a builder or anything like that. I worked, and in the summers, I spent my time in the evenings finishing the construction of the house. I wound up being very lucky that there was a piece of landlocked property behind me, which is the piece that the other house is on right now. My family is virtually moving away. I have 4 children. 2 of them are gone. My son wanted to stay here. My daughter wanted to come back home. So I put myself in debt by mortgaging the front house here so that I could afford to build the house back there. And my son is living in that house right now. Nobody is actually in the apartment at this point in time because we felt that maybe we should wait until the board made a decision, but my daughter would, well, she was living there. I don't know if she wants to go back or not. But the point is that I went out of my way so that I could have 1 family member at least, if not 2, still living in the town of Southampton. And that's what this is all about from my point of view. So that's about all I want to say.
My opinion has remained unchanged. I think this application meets the 5-part test. I think it was similar to the 2 previous decisions. In those decisions, I also voted yes, both in 2008 and 2010. And I'm in favor, I would be a yes vote on this, but I'm only 1 vote.
And just so you know, I was in here in 2008.
No, I remember. No, I knew that, Mr. Hahn. Yeah.
Listen, is there anybody in the audience who wants to speak on it? Does your wife want to speak?
Yeah, she's sitting in the back.
You want to say anything?
I try not to.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Adam, it's your case.
It is. Okay, so when do we want to have this on for decision, Katie?
Well, I think, I know that Michael is missing the 8/16 meeting. Do we have a full board on 9/6? far as we know? Yes?
Everyone planning on being here?
Over here.
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't we put it on for decision on 9/6?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I will move that we close the public hearing on the application of Styler this evening, and there would be decision ready at our September 6th meeting.
Second.
Good night.
Mr.
Thank you very
Sessa,
much.
good night.
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Yeah, yay. Yeah.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill? Ms. Burgess?
Good night.
Chair votes aye. Have a good night.
Great evening.
You too. Thank you.
you.
Good night.
Joe, you better hold on to her. She don't want to talk. You better hold on to her.
Keep her. Amended decision, can I just read this? Or do I have to
Yep,
wait
you
for it
can
to
read
be
it.
ready?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
We're ready.
I have an amended decision in the matter of the application of Simon and Victoria Andrzejczuk, 74 Deck Street, Flanders, New York. It is an amendment for on July 19th, 2018, this board by decision number D018092 granted relief for a proposed second-story addition and covered front porch. This decision, however, did not reflect the most recent survey and as such must be amended. Therefore, decision number D018092 is hereby amended to grant relief for structures as shown on the survey prepared by Young and Young, last revised May 7th, 2018. All other provisions and conditions of decision D018092 dated July 19th, 2018 remain in full force and effect.
Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill? Aye. Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have an amended decision in the matter of the Berkeley Hassan 2012 Family Trust. On July 19th of 2018, this board by decision D018097 granted variances in connection with single-family dwellings and in addition to a detached garage. This decision contains typographical errors that need to be corrected. Specifically, sentence 4 of paragraph 5 is hereby amended to read as followed. David Gilmartin Jr., attorney for the applicant, offered testimony that the new house is being centered on the property to the best extent possible. The first line of paragraph 6 is hereby amended and replaced with the following language. The application meets the 5-part test under Town Code and New York State Town Law. This board finds that the benefit to the applicant outweighs any detriment to the neighborhood or the community, and that the granting of these variances will not cause an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood, nor create a detriment to nearby properties. Likewise, the board finds that the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some other method feasible for applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The variances sought are not substantial when considering that they will have no impact on the neighborhood, and the granting of the variances will not have any adverse effect or impact on the physical environmental conditions within the neighborhood. It is a Type 2 action and requires no environmental review pursuant to SECRA. In this instance, the alleged difficulty is not self-created. Additionally, to the extent that's necessary, the board finds that the garage and its addition are subordinate and incidental to the main dwelling. Further, as it relates to the garage, the following language is deleted from the granting of the relief. Applicant requests a determination if the garage as a while was a mistake and is replaced with the following. This board finds the garage as a whole. All other provisions and conditions of decision D018078 remain in full force and effect.
Second.
Mr. DeSessa?
Aye.
Mr. Hahn? Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill? Ms. Burgess? Chair votes aye.
Decision in the matter of WBD 29 LLC, 29 West Beach Drive, Southampton, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 943-111. Based upon the application and all the documents contained in the board's file, including testimony and evidence received at the public hearing, the Zoning Board of Appeals finds and determines as follows. Applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-84D, pyramid height for a total proposed encroachment in the amount of 5,040 cubic feet for a proposed two-story dwelling on a non-conforming lot. In addition, applicant requests relief from Town Code 330-5, lot line, as it relates to Town Code 330-11. For an accessory rear yard setback of 14 feet where 20 feet is required, and relief from Town Code 330-4D for a proposed encroachment in the amount of 464 cubic feet for a proposed two-story detached garage, and any other relief necessary.
Second.
Wait.
I was just reading the request.
Okay.
Not the
that.
thing. That's okay. I know.
Moving it along tonight.
Premises, 19,951 square feet. At the public hearing on this matter, John Serkin, builder, Dorothy Kanata, and Steve Pierce appeared for the applicant. Mr. Serkin presented plans for the structure and also stated that the new structure will comply with FEMA. Mr. Serkin also noted that the applicant wished to include an additional 250 square feet of decking, which is 5 feet from the property line. Resident Lisa Lyman from 122 Twinview Drive appeared in opposition to the variance request. Her concerns were based upon conservation issues, and she was referred to the Town Conservation Department. In order to grant the area variance, we felt that it did, pardon me here, did pass the 5-point test. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code 330-84D, pyramid height for a total proposed encroachment amount of 5,040 cubic feet. A two-story, the board also grants relief for lot line as it relates to an accessory rear yard setback of 14 feet where 20 is required. Also relief for the proposed encroachment pyramid in the amount of 464 cubic feet for the proposed two-story detached garage, and relief for an additional 250 square feet of decking, 5 feet from the property line, and any other relief necessary is shown on the survey by Gary Benz, dated 5/9/2017, last revised 4/26/2018.
One sec, can you just cross off that and any other relief necessary from the last,
It
therefore?
doesn't have it at the end, it was just in the first paragraph when he's reading.
No, I
No,
know.
I do have it at the end.
Oh, you
Yeah,
did?
yeah,
So
take it out.
please cross that out. I will.
Because you want to grant very specific, this is the relief we've granted, boom, that's it.
Thanks very much.
Okay, do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay. Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa?
Aye.
Mr. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill?
Aye.
Burgess? Chair votes aye.
I have a decision in the matter of the application of 3 Kid Holding LLC. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-205B2, freestanding signs including pole and monument signs for a side yard setback of 4.3 feet from the northerly lot line. The premises is located in an L1-40 zoning district. This board classified the application as a Type 2 pursuant to SECRA. Ms. Brierly testified that the premises is a 20-foot flag lot, making compliance with the town code for the sign impossible, and also noting that there will be no impact on the character of the community or neighborhood by granting the variance. This board is in receipt of a resolution adopted July 26, 2018, from the Southampton Town Planning Board stating that it has no objection to the setback variances proposed. It passes the 5-part test. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-205B2, freestanding signs, including pole and monument signs, for a side yard setback of 4.3 feet from the northerly lot line and 15.2 feet from the southerly lot line, where 20 feet is required for a proposed freestanding sign. This relief is granted for a sign as shown on the survey of Stephen Berlisky, dated September 12, 2014, last revised May 17, 2018. The grant of these variances is subject to the conditions of such other permits as the applicant has heretofore acquired or may otherwise be necessary.
Second.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill? Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a decision in the matter of Justin Zoloff. I will read all the relief at the end. The subject premises is located at 48C8 in the hamlet of Southampton Town, Southampton County of Suffolk, State of New York. The property is identified on Suffolk County tax map. It is 900-354-4-69 and is approximately 8,000 square feet. The parcel is located in the R20 zoning district. This is a type 2 action under SECRA. At the public hearing on this matter, the applicant appeared stating he purchased the home in May of this year and was advised obtaining a permit through the town would be easy to correct the illegal accessory apartment and shed located on the property. The applicant stated this home is a split-level dwelling and plans on moving in a fellow police officer. The applicant plans on living on the first story. The shed was there since the 1970s, is in great standing condition. At the public hearing, the applicant promised to submit a letter from an architect stating the shed is in good standing. The letter, dated on August 2, 2018, was signed by licensed architect Carl E. Fritz. Other than the letter from the certified architect, the applicant must submit a letter of economic hardship for relocating the existing shed. For the applicant to move the shed, it would cost him $1,500 to move the existing shed from the current location to 10 feet away from the side yard and rear side yard. This cost would include pouring new cement slab and regarding the old location with topsoil. Finally, this cost would include to remove and reinstall a surrounding fence to allow access. The application passes the 5-part test. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-11.2 to allow an accessory apartment to be located on a lot that is less than 30,000 square feet for a lot of 8,000 square feet where 16,000 square feet is required for a lot width of 80 feet where 84 feet is required for a principal rear yard setback of 34 feet to the second story. Overhang where 42 feet is required for an accessory rear yard setback of 6.5 feet where 7 feet is required. This board also grants relief from Town Code Section 330-11.2, subsection G, subsection 1, to allow the accessory apartment to be 70% of the total floor area of the main dwelling where the maximum of 35% is permitted. In addition, applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code to legalize the shed constructed without the benefit of a building permit. Relief from Town Code Section 330-11 for an accessory side yard setback of 4.7 feet where 10 feet is required, and relief from Town Code Section 330-84D for an encroachment in the amount of 395 cubic feet, and any other relief necessary on a non-conforming lot is shown on the survey prepared by Edward A. Bachelor LLC dated May 20, 2018. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Wait, just take out that and any other.
As I was reading it, I was
Yeah,
like,
just take that out.
Okay. Mr. Hahn?
Aye.
Mr. Tuthill? Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Mr. Daly?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Termination of the matter of Box Tree Landscaping, Inc., property is 3 Maple Avenue, Hampton Bays, New York, tax map 900-228-2, lot 22. They're seeking a determination that the property is held in single and separate ownership from all adjacent parcels and thus entitled to relief pursuant to Town Code 330-115D. The applicant submitted a single and separate search that showed the property was held in common ownership with the adjacent parcel tax lot 23 since October 14th, 1957. At the public hearing, architect Nicholas Vero and the owner applicant Bradley Reed presented testimony that stating, to the best of their knowledge, the premises has been identified and used as a separate parcel from the property to the west, and the neighbors, John and Susan Berglund at 7 Gravel Hill Road, testified that the premises has been held out and used in conjunction with the parcel to the west, and submitted surveys, aerial photographs, and a real estate listing for the board to review. The application was adjourned for further testimony to July 19th, 2018, and prior to the hearing, Mr. Ferrolo, on behalf of the applicant, notified the board by email that they would like to close the public hearing, and no further evidence was submitted by the applicant. Now therefore be it resolved that there is insufficient evidence presented at this time to determine that the subject parcel is single and separate, and the application is hereby denied without prejudice.
Second.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Hahn.
Aye.
Mr. Tudhill.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I have a decision in the matter of 215 Mecox Road. Based upon the application and all the documents contained in the board's file, including testimony and evidence received at the public hearing, the zoning board of appeals finds and determines as follows. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-76D and Town Code Section 330-83C to allow a proposed tennis court to be located within the total side yard of the principal building. The subject premises is located at 215 Mecox Road in Watermill, Town of Southampton, County of Suffolk, State of New York. Property is identified on the Suffolk County tax map as 900-102-3-11.11 and is approximately 1.4 acres in size. It's a type 2 action under SECRA. At the public hearing on this matter, attorney Andrew Strong appeared on behalf of the applicant stating they seek relief for the placement of a proposed 115 by 55-foot tennis court. Mr. Strong stated that the proposed tennis court will be well screened and meets all other setbacks and that there is no alternative. By switching its location with the pool will place it in the rear yard and will have more of an impact on the neighbor. Applicant also submitted that tennis courts are a common amenity and with a variance granted at 112 Oliver Culver Road and tennis courts located at 265 Mecox and 165 Mecox Road. In response to emails from concerned neighbors, the board recommended that the tennis court be reduced in size and required that the applicant install and maintain screening to wrap around a portion of not only the east and the south sides of the court, but also to extend around the portion of the west side as well to further dampen sound to all surrounding neighbors. A review of the single and separate search submitted indicated that any period of common ownership was prior to 1983 upzone that rendered the premises non-conforming. This passes the 5-part test. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-76D and Town Code Section 330-83C to allow a proposed 55-foot by 110-foot tennis court to be located with the total side yard of the principal building as shown on the survey prepared by Stephen Barsky, dated February 20, 2016, last revised July 6, 2018. This decision is conditioned upon the tennis court being screened as indicated on the planting plan prepared by East End Land Planning dated July 6, 2018, with the screening being maintained by the property owner and all future owners of the premises. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Mr. Hahn.
Third.
Mr. Tudhill. Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Daly.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. DeSessa.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Motion to close?
Yep, second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.